Are you the CEO of your business? If you aren't, then who is? Do you know that you are the CEO of your business? That might be a better question. So, today we are going to talk about you being the CEO of your business and exactly what does that mean. And I know you're thinking, like, Lauren, it's just me. How am I a CEO? Well, you're wrong because the moment that you start a business, guess what? You are the CEO of that business. And today on the Executive Chair podcast, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Changing your mindset from becoming a one man band to being a full blown CEO. And again, you know, this space is raw and completely unfiltered. We're going to talk about true strategy, things that can propel your business in such a way to include automation. We might touch on a little bit of AI, doing things that could catapult your business to you being a part of your business and not working in your business. Because definitely there's a difference. And sometimes I think, as being beauty artists, we feel that if we're not in our businesses, we're not working our businesses. And that's not necessarily true. The truth is, as being a CEO, you think about every aspect of your business, not just you performing in it, right? Because it's more than just you performing in it. Because I don't think that the CEO of Target is sweeping the floors, nor do I think that he is sending out social media podcasts, nor do I think that he is making sure inventory is up to par. The reality is that you have to learn how to do all, excuse me, you have to be able to juggle all of these hats, right? But just because you're juggling all of these hats does not mean that you cannot make your CEO journey be a little bit easier for you and also save some time. Because at the end of the day, it's about being a part of your business, not just being in your business for your business to work. So, welcome back to the Executive Chair. Today, we're talking about your CEO mindset. Let's go. So, if I'm being honest, one of the scariest things I ever had to do in my business was transitioning from a calendar booking to online booking. Y'all, when I say this was the scariest thing for me in my business, I was absolutely terrified in every way. And I think the reason why I was terrified was because I felt like, okay, so let's go back. So my background is I was a marketing coordinator for Red Ventures for probably about 4 or 5 years. And then I was fresh out of college. I had a commission based sales job. And I personally think that if you're going into business, you need to have some type of sales background, and not just any sales, but sales that is swayed towards commission. And the reason why is because you control how much money you make, right? From a commission aspect. So you learn how to sell. And with keeping that in mind, if you tell someone, okay, so because you have the power to control how much money you make, and you being a good salesman is part of that, right? So you learn how to sell. Okay, so I felt in learning how to sell, excuse me, I learned that people have a hard time telling you no, especially when they talk to you or when they're face to face. So, in my mind, and let's be clear, I just started putting my schedule online, like maybe, oh my goodness, I just celebrated my ninth year in business. So I'll say 4 years ago, maybe. And the reason it took me so long is because I felt like, oh my God, what am I going to do about cancellations? Oh my gosh, what's going to happen when I have a full book and then somebody cancels? Because they don't have to talk to me. They can easily go on their phone, click an app, cancel it, and move on and not think twice about it. Yes and no. So that is the quality of having a top tier clientele, because to this day, whenever any of my clients cancel, they always follow up with me. So the fear that I had in my head of, if I go to this online booking system and people can cancel without talking to me, I'm just not going to have any clients. And that was so far from the truth, because the reality is that people, when they're scrolling online, when they have a free moment, when they get home from work, or even if they saw something and they want to book, they don't want to have to text me at 8 in the morning or 9 o'clock at night to book an appointment. The convenience feature of that was something that I could not deny. So opening my books online became one of the best things I ever did. But if I'm being honest, it was also the scariest thing that I did. But that also goes to show that you have to let go of some powers in your business in order for it to grow, because you can't do everything all of the time. And booking is one of those things that I don't necessarily have to be a part of. There's an app for that. Why not use it? And in becoming a CEO, the other thing that I found that was extremely valuable is that you must invest in your business. Invest in education, invest in tools, invest in resources, because working smarter, not harder, is the cheat code. And I don't think we talk about that enough in the industry. And when I'm saying tools, I'm saying buying a flat. One of the biggest investments that I made when I first got started was buying a high quality flat iron. That flat iron cost me $600. And when I first got started, I didn't have $600, but I knew that this flat iron was going to save me time, and the quality of the press was going to be so much better. So it was an investment. I also know that education is a huge part of growing your business. When I first started, one of the first investments my husband and my mom made before I even started my business was sending me to a hair replacement class in Atlanta, where I learned how to process insurance for hair loss clients, where I learned the process of doing the medical wigs. And now I have my own mentor program, which is called the Executive Chair. And in the Executive Chair, there are systems that I've placed inside of it to show hairstylists, makeup artists, waxers, estheticians, ways that they can be able to include systems inside of their businesses, so that way they don't have to work as hard, right? The mentor piece of the executive chair gives you the reassurance of knowing how to properly run your business and scale it properly. Let's talk about numbers for a minute, because I don't think that that's a conversation we have often. Pricing makes or breaks your business. If you do not price yourself correctly, one, you'll be working too hard, and that's when resentment builds in. Or two, you will be working at a pace that doesn't justify your lifestyle, if that makes any sense. You have to scale your business in such a way that it supports your lifestyle and that you're not overpriced in the market. Does that make sense? So that's why the executive chair is such a huge piece of my mentorship program, because it gives cheat codes that I didn't even have when I first got started. A lot of the things that I now know 9 years in, I wish I knew from the beginning. It could have definitely lessened my learning curve, and I would not have felt so overwhelmed in the beginning. Automation, having someone say, okay, I know exactly where you are in your business. Let me show you how to navigate that in such a way that you don't necessarily have to feel completely overwhelmed. And also taking the time to step away from your business. I mentioned in the very first episode, like, rest is a business strategy. And I don't think people talk about that enough. You have to rest, because if you don't, what ends up happening is you get burnt out so fast. This industry is beautiful in every single way. But what you have to learn first is systems, mentorship, education, and scaling can save you so much time, so much energy, and it also saves your body. And that's why I think it's most important. Now let's talk about leading with vision. So this can be scary and also delusional at the same time, right? So imagine where your business is today, and imagine where you want your business to be in the next 2 years, next 3 years. But it's a catch 22 in terms of you cannot make decisions about your business based on your financial bills today. Because, yeah, it may be a reality, but that's not going to be where you're going to be in the next 2 or 3 years. Stop thinking about your business in a sense of desperation. Because when you get desperate, you make decisions based on need and not based on vision, right? So I heard my mom say a long time ago, don't make decisions out of emotion, right? But that's so hard because I know for me, when I'm mad, right? I'm mad and I don't care who else is mad, and that's just where I am. But in being mad, I also know, well, let me say this, 40-year-old me knows that I should not make decisions based on one, me being mad, or two, me being emotional, because those decisions aren't necessarily the best decisions. And I know that now. So, in preparing for your business for the next level, you cannot make decisions based on what you currently see in your bank account, the bills that you have to pay right now, the obligations that you know that you have to meet right now. Because what that does is it puts you in a box. And just because you can't see the next piece of your business from a physical aspect, of course, that does not mean that you have to look at where it is today. Because in the future, if I could tell myself 9 years ago, so let's go back to August 1st of 2016, I had just moved into solar salons. Y'all, I was so scared out of my mind. At that time, my rent was like $210 a week. I had 6 clients. How in the world am I going to pay $210 with 6 clients? Like, even if I had a client a week, my prices were not even high enough then to justify paying $210 a week. But I thank God for my faith, and I thank God for vision, because I knew that one day I would get there without a problem. Now, 9 years later, one client pays my rent for the week, just one. But imagine if I had made that decision. Imagine if I had not made that decision to go into solar salons in 2016 with those 6 clients, because I knew that financially then I couldn't afford it. So that's why it's so important that you not put yourself in a financial box or in a visual box based on what you see now. It's not about what you see now. It's about where you're going and the direction that you want your business to go in. So next, let's talk about people pleasing and trying to always say yes. And I think, as I told you guys earlier, one of the hardest things for people to do is to tell you no to your face, or to tell you no in any instance, right? But I've learned that saying no, I say no more than I say yes. And the reason for that is there is a vision that I have in my business. There is a certain level of clientele I want in my business. When I first got started, I wanted to service everybody. And then I quickly learned that that was not the spot. Like, I don't want everybody. And I'm very comfortable with saying that now in my business. But the idea of saying yes all the time can be draining. And it's also out of fear, because you feel like you don't want to miss out. You don't want to, miss an opportunity. Let me tell you something. What is meant for you will never pass you. It won't, because it belongs to you and nobody else can have it, because it specifically belongs to you. Next, I also want to talk about equating success to hustle. That is such a myth in every way. Unorganized chaos is a circus in every way. Hustle mentality will have you burnt out so fast that you have lost your drive, you've forgotten your mission. You're at this point, you're just throwing stuff on the wall and hoping that something sticks. And if you don't have vision for your business, that's what it ends up becoming. It's a hustle. And hustles don't last at all. I can name several hairstylists that I know, that I personally know, and you can tell who treats their business like a hustle. You can tell. It's not very hard to tell, okay? We have to get out of that mindset. You have to do things that support your vision, that supports your goal, and that supports the mission that you're trying to accomplish. It's not about making a quick dollar, because you can make a quick dollar driving for Uber. Let's just call a spade, okay? It's not about the hustle. It's about creating experiences for your clients that are long lasting, that create relationships, and that also ensure trust. Trust is the biggest piece of building a business. And I also feel that we are in the service industry, right? But you're also being a service to your clients. That's the biggest part. If you're not of service to the people that you serve, what are you doing? Because let's be very clear, people can go anywhere to get their hair done, right? Anywhere. So, what makes you so special? Or what doesn't make you so special? We don't have those conversations, and we should. I want you to come into this place and figure out, what is my mission? Who do I want to service? How can I service them at the best of my ability? How can I assume the needs of my clients without them telling me? And how can I continuously pour into them without giving myself the short end of the stick? Because at the end of the day, these are the things that create last longing relationships with the people that you serve, and that you are becoming a service to. Here's the thing. You don't wake up one morning and magically feel like a CEO. You just don't. That's not realistic. And every day, you're not going to feel like a CEO either. Some days, it is one of the hardest things to do. But if you don't do it, who else is? Right? So it's important that you carve out time in your business to make decisions that support your vision. It's about making tough calls, even when you are unsure if that is the right call. It's about letting your yes be yes and your no being no. It's about investing in your business and seeing the vision even before it has even come into fruition. It's about showing up for your business and your clients every single day. Make time to make the right decisions for your business, not just where you are today, but where you want to be in the next 2 or 3 years. Because your inner CEO is about looking ahead, not just where we are today. Because today is going to be over. And when you look back on today, the decisions that you make today decide where you'll be in the next 2 or 3 years. So, my challenge to you this week is to make one decision that makes you feel like a CEO. That could be investing into your business through a course, through a mentorship, through any piece of equipment. It may be saying no to something that you considered before, even though you felt like it was a good idea, but when you took a step back, you realized maybe that's not for me. It's about putting time in your schedule to imagine, to have vision, and to dream about what the next 2 or 3 years of your business will be like. It's about putting in work now so that way you can reap a harvest in the next season. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention. And I cannot wait to meet you back here for the next episode. Remember, the executive chair is a place where beauty and business meet and where conversations build legacy. Until the next time, are you the CEO of your business? I don't know. We'll find out.